Hey, welcome. So I was thinking I'd start looking around. Honestly, I feel like I'm a little stuck, and like it would benefit me to stop making underground science videos because I really would like them to be useful. I don't want to just be like guessing over and over to a point where like what exactly is happening is not being deciphered yet in the process, so it's just kind of not as useful as where I feel like earlier on there's more. Until I hit Hawaii, I was making a lot of like solid progress in the videos, but then once I realized Hawaii was a sphere and started to investigate the potential of that, realized the potential of that to a point where I feel like maybe it was. But after that, like the details are really, really like up in the air still. So I was thinking maybe I'd just look around, and I was watching this video just now, and this caught my eye, and just because of what it looked, not yet, this next part. From here 2 hours ago, this is from Mauna Loa, current eruption. Here, notice before that, like right before it, before this like landslide type thing, we have this like really hot segment here that's kind of like circular and has at the base like a chunk that goes like this kind of overall. So I'm I was looking at this like, if Mauna Loa like here wraps up around and conjoins here, and then this segment comes down from on a sphere, maybe it's something of this nature where the triple joint is, so there's like a current going generally around the orange, but then there's a current coming in here or here, yeah, here where they conjoin over here, basically this way. So here's Mauna Loa, and then on the opposite side is pretty much this 15 point. Okay, so which has this really big rounded section here, notably, which made me think of this. Let me slow this down. Okay, so like I was mentioning, it's about to like have like a sliding severance of the particle here, and then suddenly out of the slide, the like landslide, we see like a channel emerge. So maybe like down here, like where Mauna Loa is on the particle, the where the big island is basically like the bottom half, and then like this segment being like the North Pole with which is Keawe, and then Nihau and Kaula, which are actually positioned over here to this relative to this segment. And then the big island is actually positioned over here, but they zip together 4 to 4, 5 to 5, 6 to 6 in a sphere. And so maybe like this segment is basically the bottom pole here, and then it wraps around up to the side where 15 was, which is basically like this segment, and then up here is like the top, and then wrapping around here and around here all the way around is kind of like the rest of the islands. Like it, so it maybe it suggests then that there's some kind of like how this structure is just kind of sitting there and has like it suddenly has events occur. Like, let's keep playing it. Like holes showing up so that the heat can just flow out more readily to release the pressure to a more equilibrium. And then like this current suddenly flares through, and then it pushes some material off, and then it really cools off some reason. So it didn't like separate and like fall apart, but maybe it could have if it was like this chunk could have fallen off, slid off, this chunk slid off, and then essentially it's just this with like a hot nucleus still that then ends up like sliding like this so that the bottom of the particle is at the top, resting on this like heated segment that just is like down to the mantle almost, and then it cools a shell to it, relatively speaking, because the environment's cool, so it's gonna like essentially just be, and it's detached from the earth source. Like the earth is like as Mauna Loa is feeding this, so too was the earth feeding the Hawaiian particle. So like once it was detached more from the inflowing current, and the current itself just died down where the ocean floor was no longer being created as the earth expanded. Then maybe it started to form like a solid boundary to the system that within it still contains like a magma kind of chamber, but it also has really dense chunks of the crust and like pathways through for the magma to vent, which is like Mauna Loa, like the I guess a pole. I think it might have been a pole, like the exact point of like this. I guess if I look at it here, like this point maybe was exactly like the pole that like current flowing through just like funneled towards a pole, because it was easier to slide along to the pole than to actually like cut out of the boundaries, and so it basically slid down to a pole when it was forming in a process more like this, so that it essentially had an actual physical opening at the bottom where energy was flowing out of, creating the like an inlet at the top and an outlet kind of thing. Although I'm not sure where the inlet was. Maybe the inlet was the North Pole, and then the North Pole like plugged. Like it filled with so much pressure that it couldn't, like the polygon shell just kind of stabilized, held the pressure in, and then like the inflowing current just became more equilibrium, and the pole itself cooled, which then maybe caused like the sequence of events, like the pole to instability. Like it's still hot, relatively speaking, so it starts to cool, and in so doing, it fractures and breaks like a side chunk off at the pole, which is probably like the weakest segment because essentially the current's flowing in the pole and out the other side, but generally flowing through to the base to like create Mauna Kea pretty much. So like up here is just physically, even though it gets sealed, it's still like a thinner like structure that has like cooled enough to create like stability to the overall system. So maybe even though it like basically because it's sealed there, but also it was the inlet, it was also easy to like remove the segment from that point when it was energetically caused to by the currents flowing, like to below the top, and then the segments start to come off. So I think like there's something of that nature going on, and it reminds me. So like I was saying, the current flowing from the top, and then branching out. It basically branching out to a maximum distance that it can branch out where it meets resistance, and then the current is funneled back through. Or maybe it's the opposite direction, where the current was coming in from Mauna Loa, and that's why it's so easy to erupt there, because it didn't form as thick of a shell, and maybe the Keawe is very thick. I don't know, and it, like, because it was cooling the first, because it had this thick material, maybe it was easier to be brittle and break off. It's crazy how it could be either way, maybe. I feel like people could clear this up more than I can as an individual. Anyway, but maybe it's like resting on like where the current, I was thinking like it's sitting there and the current's flowing through it and then out of it and branching out, maybe like this, causing like divots from the current flow, even though this is really the opposite in this case of the orange. Like the orange's inlet is here, right? Yeah, that's it. This is just like a nothing of an inlet. Although maybe a similar thing happens, just with a different subtle energy. That's not like the more dense energy that the plant's inlet is. Like there's two poles and two inlets and two outlets that are equal but opposite. And so maybe that's kind of what's even going on with how they'll do that and that. So it's got a chakra, like 3 chakras, where this chakra is really long, almost like a middle finger. Maybe like the chakra up here, like the top. This is reminiscent of Hawaii. It's not visible here. I think it's here, but it's not as visible as if we go to. Where is it? I think if I go to my tweets, one of these, I should have linked it. There it is. Here we go. This right here. Which I have this little, pretty much right where this little block is Kaho'olaui. Oh my. Kaho'olaui. This chakra system is very reminiscent of what's going on here. Which makes me think of like it's folding backward in this case. In my mind, I've been like mentally folding it forward. It also folds backward in this case. Because I really, like, we're basically looking at the portion of this block that if it were to be Hawaii is actually, like, on the... Maybe it is the outer surface of a particle like this. I don't know. I feel like it would have been, like, damaged. By being an inner surface, it explains the seamount heights, like why it's able to have like a seamount that kind of like is bigger than the surface itself. Although maybe this also could explain it. Besides the point, I'm pretty sure it's an internal surface if it's a sphere. I know it's. But, so that was that. Alright, I'll just end this here, and maybe just do a series of reactions to things of this nature to, like, add on to what I've been talking about in these videos, but not explicitly, like, be part of the rolling, like, chain here, although whew, this is really like the lands, the way it's just solid there and breaks away. One side that comes, I guess here, I really feel like 15 is like where, so maybe it wasn't, like I was putting it like this here at 15, but maybe this was actually more. I'll just do it like that, that's fine. Pardon me, y'all. Not to hide that for now, but to hide that for now. Maybe I'll try to find where this video is from and get a different image. Put some citations on this if I really feel strongly about it as like a... I don't know if I should have this here, but it kind of seems relevant enough to be like, you know what? So, like, if this is here, like, maybe this is here, so that's really not 4 to 4, 5 to 5. Like, maybe here, this region is kind of like 1, 2. And then we're going over this way, it's going 3, 4 is the chakras here. And then 5 is kind of like as we're approaching. And then across is actually like this way. But then this region being here, 15 down here, and then like 7, 8, this way-ish. Wrapping around though, like if this were to be more like solidifying into a final form, maybe 5 to 5 being this one, or wait, being this way, 6 5 4. Like if I go like that, 1, lift it up. Make it a little smaller. And like 2. I need to like 2. Paste. Seems almost not even. I know I'm like stretching, but I just feel like might as well throw some labels on here to like get a idea of maybe if it's this is yeah, okay, maybe I did go, I went too, I was trying to squeeze too much. This is 4 is like the main chakra point. 3 maybe across the chakra, maybe it's not too bad there, whatever, like there. 5 so across the next chakra, like over here. And then 6 like actually over here maybe. Like energetically crossing this thin zone. And then 15 maybe is not actually exactly that way. Or maybe actually 6 here with like 15 in this way being more like generally here, like attaching but not being the same. Like there's a little circle thing there maybe, and then a big one here that are adjacent that aren't just like atop one another. I kind of thought like maybe all of this overlays. Although maybe like this is a point, I don't know. But then from 6 it goes over to then like let's go back to this. It's such a small image of it. It's not even clear what exactly is happening here because of the zoom. Seems like generally a system is forming here, though, where that can be approximately that can be analyzed, and maybe it's not. Essentially, what I'm thinking is this might not actually like wrap truly around in the way that I thought it might do in like a similar, maybe it does similarly like wrap around completely. Although it looks like I'd have to be like 7, 8, 1, which is kind of missing some places, unless. Yeah, yeah, like it should connect to the bottom of this thing like this, and then have another segment like that to be similar enough. So it's maybe not identical, but like the same process is generally happening here. Just like maybe up here we see like a particle that was kind of forming up here in this region, like in some way energetically, but like it fans out and opens. So it has like similar features, but it also has like a much more like between the components. I think I'm gonna make this an underground science video. It's related. I shouldn't like. I don't want to. The thing is, I don't want to separate it either and start like putting this kind of content in just like other video streams of my videos that aren't labeled as like part of it. I could put it into the playlist, but like it's still not. Part of me is I just explain every detail of my thoughts in some ways, and only in some ways, probably. Definitely. I mean, clearly, only in some ways. So there's that. Whew. I got this shallogram here. It's got a flat side on this side. And then it's got a flat side here on the large side. So basically it's like there's two pressures involved, like two angles, and then the chakra itself is like where the angles overlap. Okay, with that in mind, I'm gonna go ahead and stop this video, and maybe once I see something cool and while watching videos of this nature, maybe I'll start playing again. See you soon. Thanks for watching.